I wouldn't say it was my first poem, but the first story I wrote was about a little monster that wanted to make friends in a little burning house, and so he decided to try and save the family in there, and they adopted him. So that was kind of like my first story-ish, and then moving into poetry. Hi, I'm Tricia Marie Ward. I self-published my own poetry book, and I'm a bestseller. I wanted a poetry book that really just expressed everything that I felt, and I couldn't collab all those writers together, so I thought, why not show the world everything that I am? So for the steps in publishing your own book, especially for self-publishing, you literally do everything. You have to find your own artist, you have to find the right domain for it, like Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Kindle. You have to learn how to typeset, how to put the margins in, what kind of font you want to use. You have to do the measurements for the book. I watched a lot of videos from Self-Publishing by Dale or book launchers that helped indie authors like myself do everything on their own, so it doesn't seem so overwhelming. Just a lot of time and many nights crying as part of that process. Crying, I didn't eat, didn't go outside. So some of the magazines I got published in was Hey Young Writer, the Blue Mountain Review, which is a pretty popular magazine in Atlanta, Georgia, and then the most recent one was Eve Poetry Magazine. This is where the little music nerd in me comes in. Interrupted cadence is actually multiple things that happen in a song. So the song starts but never begins again at the last place it stopped. So each poem, one might come off as really soft and sentimental, the next one can be really bitter, the next one be about love, or the next one be about heartache. Yeah, so multiple themes. There's quite a handful of poets that inspire me. The first one was Edgar Allan Poe, starting off like first things you read when you go to school, but as I kind of opened up my eyes to literature, I'd say Lawrence Ferlinghetti is a big inspiration for me, Rumi, and I do prefer Mary Shelley to Percy Shelley as well, and Wordsworth, and Oscar Wilde. List goes on, but those are my guys. The people dedicated in the front are supportive of my writing, my mom being the first. She gave me my first platform boots and a black turtleneck, so I already embodied the look of a poet. And also the girl from the Goofy movie as well was my inspiration. My sister has read every poem that I've ever written, whether it was, shitty or a good poem too. My grandma was a writer, so I would always want to do what she did, and I ended up becoming my own hobby, to be honest. My grandma really loved spelling bees, so she was a way to help enhance my vocabulary. So we would do little spelling bee games together so that way I can learn to use different words in my poetry and my writing. She said she didn't want me to sound too repetitive, or wanted me to sound at least a little cool, I absolutely would love to publish more books in the future. I'm already starting the next poetry book, and hopefully it doesn't take a decade to compile all the poems, but if it does, that's all right.
Do you have a title in mind?
Half Cadence. The next theory. The next musical theory, of course. So people can find my book on barnesandnoble.com, or I also have them myself if they don't ship out of the US. You can also find my poetry online on my Instagram. You can find it on Hey Young Writer, on their magazine, Eve Poetry Magazine, as well as the Blue Mountain Review.